Our next speaker is Dr. Chang Hui-si. He is currently an associate professor of the Institute of Science, Technology and Society in Chinese Academy of Science and Technology for Development. He earned his doctorate from Department of Sociology at Tsinghua University. He will speak on measuring sustainable development in China, the theory, method, and results of Sustainable Well-being Index of China. Please welcome Dr. Chang Hui-si.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is my honor to attend in the first Asian Innovation Forum and to share the research fruits with you. And my topic is measuring sustainable development in China, the theory, method, and result of the Sustainable Well-being Index of China. Nowadays, even in the future, the rapid development of emerging countries, including China and other BRICS countries, is probably the most conspicuous change in the world. Given the large population and wide regional coverage, the evolution and changes in these developing countries will definitely have immeasurable influence on the whole world. Therefore, it is of great significance to observe and depict the modernization or development of process of each of these countries. So, under such a background, my institute, KISTEP, and our cooperation colleague, our Norwegian Research Institute, FAFO, decided to launch the program Research on the Sustainable Development of Emerging Nations, the case of China, to choose China as the research object in the first phase, to develop a set of sustainable development indicators for China and the emerging nations. The direct purpose and aims of this project is to provide information to guide policymaking and to provide an alternative long-term perspective on development in China. Up to now, there are many countries and international organizations have developed indicators sets of sustainable development. From our perspectives, many of them face some general challenges. The first one is that sustainable development indicators always become tools for justification of worldviews. All the sustainable development indicators are based on certain underlying worldviews or narratives, which are more or less political in nature. Most of the time, before selecting the specific indicators, the answer is already known. So the indicator sets are just used to justify these answers or worldviews. The second one is that the goal of sustainable development is unfocused. Most of the time, sustainable development merging all good intentions contains too many objectives, such as eradicate poverty, reduce inequality, combating climate change, and so on. These objectives sometimes are contradictory, and so many objectives also make the balance between current and future generations more complex. There are also other big challenges, such as depending on existing data, especially the quantitative data, and indicators are not collected for the purpose, provide new information, and don't challenge fundamental perspective and essential. Another challenge is how to conceptualize in sustainable development. Although there are so many definitions and explanations, sustainable development is still an ambiguous term. Instead of searching for the ideal picture of the concept, it can be more convenient to define what is unsustainable and to use unsustainable trends and ratios as a reference points of measuring sustainable development. In this perspective, it is possible to select indicators of sustainable development by identifying opportunities and challenges for sustainable development. The threats, including external environment threats and internal social threats, and these opportunities are generally related to economic, political, and social initiatives and innovations in order to deal with the threats. In recent years, one of the most substantive international trends regarding measurement of development, including sustainable development, is to emphasize well-being and implicitly move away from GDP as a key focus of development. In our framework, we see well-being as an end goal of development, and it is also a way of operationalizing the concept of sustainable development. So we name our indicator sets as Sustainable Well-being Index. On basis of the discussion in the previous slides, we built our analysis framework and select indicators. The figures show the general structure of the proposed conceptual framework for measuring sustainable development in China. The structure consists of 4 hierarchy levels of indicators. First level is an overall index of sustainable well-being for China. Second level is 5 sector indicators. Third level is 28 semi-indicators, and first level is 106 secondary measures and 13 surveyed measures. The sector indicators reflect the conventional dimensions of sustainable development: environment, economy, and social sustainability. In addition, an institutional dimension is added, which again is subdivided into the sector of governance and innovation. The 2 institutional sector indicators basically focus on the opportunity aspects of sustainable development and how they contribute to promote a sustainable development. The 3 remaining sector indicators, social, economic, and environmental sustainability, primarily focus on observed and potential threats to sustainable development in China. Hence, they reflect the efforts of the performance within the governance and the innovation sector. The social sector, in which the actual life of people is the key focus, is in the center of the system, reflecting that the key measurable attributes of sustainable development, human well-being, is part of this sector, and that it can be seen as a result of the conditions in the other sectors. In order to test and further explore the utility of the Sustainable Well-being Index, data for most indicators were collected and analyzed from year 2000 to 2013. Data were mainly collected from existing statistics, including domestic and international sources. In addition, a sustainable well-being survey was conducted to produce primarily subjective and quantitative data to complement the set of existing data. It should be noted that these data are not included in the composite index, for the survey is carried out only once up to now. The time serial data are not got. After collecting data, we do many data processing work, such as imputation of missing data, set benchmark for measures, normalization of the data. We choose 4 four methods of normalization. And the other work including the weighting and aggregation and robustness and sensitivity test. For these technical issues, I don't introduce in detail. This figure shows the general development trends for the 5 sectors in the Sustainable Wellbeing Index for the year 2000 to 2030. It should be noted that there are various ways to calculate these trend lines and that the magnitude of change differs somewhat according to what method that has been used. However, what calculation methods give the same general trends and related weight of the 5 sectors. The overall picture is that social and economic development is positive and increasing, while environmental problems have increased and a lot improving. With reference to the conceptual idea of distinguishing between input and output indicators and outcome and impact indicators, the graphs that shows that the intention and direct result of sustainable investments and policies in the governance and the innovation sector are very positive, and that the direct and indirect effects on the economy and social conditions also are positive. On the other hand, the effects on environment conditions are negative. Hence, the order of the 5 trend lines can to some degree be explained by the direct control the government has to influence the various sectors and sustainable challenges. About the refinement and further development of the Sustainable Wellbeing Index, there are particularly 4 areas that will be assessed. The first is policy relevance. We hope relevant sectors, for example, sector ministries, will provide feedback on the pilot index and the adjustments in order to increase policy relevance can be made in consultation with them. The second is contextual clarity. Possible adjustment in this respect may be to distinguish between a core set of indicators or a more contextual set of indicators in the system. Such a conceptual framework is probably necessary in order to compare between different countries. The third is indexation methodology and data quality. There is still a room for mapping better and more solid data resources to replace or enrich the current list of measures. Moreover, among the 4 normalization methods tested so, the most appropriate method should be selected. Weighting has only been applied on several groups of similar measures at the current stage of work. More sophisticated weighting system may be explored in the future. And the last but not the least is the possibility to develop comparable index for other emerging countries. It was the underlying object from the outset of this project. All data used in the index, as well as what data generated by the 2030 Social Wellbeing Survey, are available at www.china.swi.org. The index website also contains background information of the index and analysis. The theoretical and technical background of the index is also published in a separate documentation report, which can be downloaded from the index website. The index website contains a blog on which comments regarding policy relevance and other suggestions for improvements are particularly welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Zhang Huixi.